Connecting. Please wait a few seconds for everyone to join. What's up, Mike? Mike, can you hear us? Are you with us? I hear a puppy who barks exactly like my dog, actually. I was like, well, I don't know if Mike can hear us or not. Dov, can you hear me?
I do, yeah. Hello, everyone who's joining. Thank you for joining us.
Fantastic. Hey, everybody. Please, if you can, in the chat, just say your name, where you're from, and one fun fact about you. I'm not going to waste any time here. I'm super excited to introduce Dov. I've seen him speak at least a couple of times, if not more than a couple of times. He's always got some really great data and is really engaging. It doesn't hurt that he's nice to look at. So I am going to, enjoy that, everybody. So I am going to be quiet, Dov, and let you give your formal introduction and kick things off, man.
All right, thank you. So just what I was saying to Batman in the backstage, that I'm not a massive fan of PowerPoint presentations, but we'll see how this goes. And for me, it's more about having a conversation. So I would be more than happy to jump into one of the tables and have a discussion with any one of you who would like to join. And let me try sharing the screen and see if that works. All right, so can you give me a thumbs up in the comments if you can see the screen? Hello? Does this work?
Yes, sir.
Yes, it does, right? Okay, so so here's the topic for today, and you might question yourself, why should you even listen to me? Well, I think that a really quirky thing about me is that I live in the UK for 5 years, and this is a new country to me. And coming from very different background, I ended up building the community around me, which is at the moment global community. And even though I've been focusing on helping our companies find hard to get talents with focus on diversity, I would always be helping other people with their job search, CVs, preparing them for interviews. And I stepped into being a career coach last year. So I'm kind of mixing many hats at the same time. And since 2017, end of 2017, every single job that I did, I was referred to. I was referred into. I didn't necessarily apply for the job. I know that looking for a job can be very daunting and very stressful, even for those who work in the same industry. So I believe it is extremely important just to stop and reflect and answer some of the questions. And you can see those questions in front of you. I don't necessarily, I would say that, first of all, you really need to think what makes you happy. Because think about it, that you're looking for a job that you're going to be doing at least 8 hours a day. This is going to be most of what you're going to be focusing on. So you better know what you really want to be doing. And the biggest challenge is that if you don't know what you're looking for, you will not only that you're not going to find it, but you will not, the right opportunity might slip in front of you because you will be focused and maybe potentially wasting time on other opportunities that have nothing to do with your kind of end goal. So I always say that it's extremely important to make a big list. Imagine that you take a piece of paper and you just use it as your brain dump. Just vomit everything that you don't want. Any previous experiences from your previous companies, teams, something that you didn't like and that you don't want to do anymore in the future, it has to go onto this list. It's extremely important because then you're going to see an opportunity and you will already have certain rules that you made for yourself, or let's call it like a golden, like a bucket list of things that you don't want, right? And then you would say, hey, thank you, this is not for me, and I'm going to move on. I'm not going to waste anyone's time, especially my own, just diving into the opportunity that is not the right one for me. It's a painful exercise to do, but once you do it, then you are going for even a bigger adventure. So what is exactly that you want? And because one thing is that what you did before doesn't necessarily mean that this is what you're going to be doing in the future. You might want to change it. You might want to learn, to grow, and to do something completely different. So you really need to make a decision whether that's something that you want to do or you want to do something different. And think of all of the exciting and positive things. What are the brands that excite you? Are there any causes that you want to support? Do you have any people in your network that you would love to work with? What do you want to learn? And of course, pay is really important, because sometimes we might even be willing to compromise for the right opportunity. So all of these points, I would highly recommend adding to your list. Now, when you kind of already have those things cleared, and you have a bigger understanding of what you're looking for and what you're doing, I would say that the next step would be let's look onto your LinkedIn and let's do some cleaning. So first of all, depending on where you want to be going next, does your profile match to where you want to go? Are there any previous experiences that are irrelevant and that you potentially might need to delete? Maybe look as well into the companies that you follow and groups that you're a member of. These are the interests, and it is visible to absolutely everyone. So for example, when I do my search for people, I always look into their interests, because that gives me a lot of information about the person as well. So just check whether that is relevant to what you're still doing. As well, use the photo and the headline features if you want to announce to everyone that you're actually open to opportunities. Now LinkedIn has this really cool green circle around you. Use that. I understand if you're looking for a job privately and you can't scream about it, then it's a bit of a different situation. But always connect with companies that you are fascinated about, or the ones that you would like to work with. As you can see, I'm speaking pretty fast because I know that we don't have a lot of time. And as I said, I would be more than happy to answer any of the questions after the session as well. I will stick around. Join a conversation. And this is very important, because if you look on the headline, this is the post that I made today. I was actually responding to Katrina's post. Katrina is actually one of the people that I would highly recommend following, because she is a great example of how to start conversations and how to be relevant in the industry, and how to share a lot of content that others can grow and find it useful. So she made a post, I responded to it, she responded to it, and you can see my headline. So now if I would be saying open to new opportunities, everyone in my network or in that post would be able to see that as well. So use it as your advantage. And don't forget to be engaging and to share your experience, or even share other people's experience. But be yourself, and don't be afraid of sharing that. It is a bit of a difficult one, because when we start looking for a job, we kind of fall into this rabbit hole of, oh, there are so many jobs out there, I don't fit any of the requirements, I'm not good enough, or why would they hire me, and all of that crap. It is a crap. So, you might think about it once and just flush it down, where it belongs, because it's not doing any good for you. When I was trying to find who actually said this quote, I ended up looking at this, and it really kind of freaked me out, because look at this. Like, what can you say to yourself instead of what you used to say to yourself? What are 3 positive things about yourself? Actually, I'm going to tell you one really crazy thing. I just started doing Lisa Nichols' quest on Mindvalley, and she is suggesting one of the homeworks is to do a mirror work, is where you every morning you look into a mirror and you tell yourself, you speak to yourself, and you say your name. So I would say, Dov, I admire you for, and you say 7 things, and so you repeat the same sentence 7 times with different endings. Then you say, Dov, I forgive you for, and you again say different 7 things. And then you say, Dov, I commit to you. This will change those patterns, how you talk to yourself. It might be really scary, but trust me, it works wonders. So from my experience, I can tell you that I've never got the job that I was 100% suitable for. With my very first job in sourcing, they were looking for a German speaker. Other companies, they were looking for a tech sourcer. Yada, yada, yada. It doesn't matter, right? That didn't stop me of having conversations, and that didn't stop the companies having conversations with me either. So that's why it's extremely important to reach out to your network as well. Before you even start the official search. Attending events like this is a great example, and because today you will have not only today, but in the next 4 days, you will have an incredible opportunity to connect with so many people and tap into their networks. But connect, not in the growth hacking way. Don't just spam everyone with empty messages on LinkedIn inviting to connect. Have fewer conversations, but have those meaningful conversations. And don't forget that here, one of the coolest features on AirMeet that you can have is the, when you're in a lounge area, is speed networking. This is brilliant, and I will try that myself, so I invite you to do the same. When you have everything settled in your mind, when your LinkedIn is updated, and when you reach out to the network, then it's time to start looking. And only you know what will be the right opportunity for you. But, that's one of the first exercises that we already did, right? So what I would normally do is I connect with the recruiters who work in the team. I would send them a private LinkedIn message saying, hey, I just noticed that you're looking for this and this. Just so you know, I'm potentially open to opportunities, and I would love to connect with you. Do have a look at my profile and let me know if you would like to have a more in-depth conversation. Now, here's the cool part. If they don't respond to you, that means they are too busy. They might not necessarily care responding to messages, or it might not be the right place for you. If they do respond, then you will be able to see, if you go into the process, how that connection builds up. For me, this is brilliant. If you have no connections and if you have no other way, of course, yes, then as a last resort, you can be applying directly. But before even that, do you know anyone internally who can actually help you? Do you have friends who work for those companies? Remember that those companies have referral schemes, so both you and your friend would be able to benefit, and so on. One of my golden rules is do not respond to emails straight away. Meaning for that is that there is still a lot of practices done when a lot of agency recruiters are just spamming the hell out of people, and they are not necessarily, care about talking to you. And you need to be realistic about it. They're just finding the right keywords. And if they don't have enough time, they would only use those few keywords and you would get the message. This is called spray and pray. They are sending a message to everyone that they can, and then they're praying for someone to come back to them. So what one of the sales recruiters taught me when I was approaching her, that she was waiting for me to follow up. And then when we were talking on the phone, she said, oh, I really loved your message, how you approached me. And I said, well, why didn't you respond straight away? She said, well, I really wanted to see how much you want to talk to me. And I was waiting for you to follow up. And she did. And we're still connected 3.5 years later. And my strategy always is have fewer interviews that you go into. So that means when you clear your mind, you will minimize your negative experience. No one wants to get rejection messages or to be ghosted by recruiters. But If you're applying for the right jobs, that will not happen. As I mentioned, I was referred into all of the jobs that I did. Sometimes I would be speaking to several companies at the same time. So for example, right now, I'm looking for a job, and in the last month, I was having conversations. And I can be very open, and I can say that I was having conversations with 3 companies only. Those were very 3 different companies, but only 3 companies. And at the moment, I'm not even starting anything new because I'm waiting for those processes to finalize. I don't want to waste my time or anyone's who is working in the recruitment. Then when it comes to the interview itself, it's always a two-way street. Even if you work in the industry, you don't, it's a very frustrating, draining process. But you go into an interview equal parts. You need to have exactly the same amount of time to ask questions as they ask you questions, right? So, and your opinion is just as important. The amount of times that I said no during an interview myself, because it's really important to show that I'm not desperate. I might be looking for a job, and I might be actively looking for a job. I'm not desperate to get one if it's not the right one. So as well, there are certain red flags that I used to, that kind of help me to maybe filter out certain the companies in the process. So it's always be careful, mindful and careful about communication outside of office hours. Let's say you send the message on Monday and you get the message response on Friday, 10 p.m. That would be a bit of a red flag to me. Why do they work over the weekend? Or, especially if you're going into a recruitment team, it might show that they're having extreme workload. If they don't get back to you on time, if they're ghosting you, all of these things, to me, would just say run. Because if the company cannot manage these things at the beginning of their, at the beginning of the process, they will not be bothered even when you join the team. As well, it's really important to admit that you need help if you do need help. I know that I honestly have no idea where I would be if it wasn't for a friend, Mark, that I met, and he was a very established sourcer, and I was really admiring everything that he did, and we became friends, and then I was always seeing him as a mentor, and he was challenging me a lot. He's the reason why 2 years ago I was speaking on his podcast and sharing my vulnerable story about being fired and then getting a job and how community helped me. And then at the same time, he was the person who pushed me into speaking as well. And now since Christmas, we are doing a weekly show together, which is called Sourcing Challenge Show. So if you want to hear us just chatting, do join us. You can find us on anywhere where you listen to your podcasts and on YouTube as well. So having a mentor will open more doors for you. As well, I believe in the law of attraction, and it's incredibly important to follow your gut and to follow the trust the flow in general. I remember one time I was so desperate to get out of the salesy job that I really didn't like, and I was approached to be a sourcer for Western Union in Lithuania. And after the very first interview, I changed my mindset. I was like, okay, how will I be commuting to work? Where's the gym? Where will I eat? Where will I eat lunch? Everything. I shifted everything around me as if I was already in that job. It took me 7 interviews to actually get the job. After the 6th interview, I thought that I actually failed, but I still didn't change that mindset, and everything went well. One day I will write a book about this thing, but I know we don't have much time. So I don't think I've ever spoken this fast in my life. So there are certain golden rules that I follow, and as I already mentioned, like this can be like a summary to you. So stop applying for random jobs that you don't waste your time or theirs time. Never show that you are desperate. If you don't know what you want, you will never find it. never show, oh, you see, like I even mentioned that twice, so that is important one. Then it is a two-way street when you are interviewing. Always pay attention to all the red flags, trust the gut, and your, that's the best compass. Like, ignore all the Google Maps and technology. This is the only survival kit that you need to know. And keep applications to a minimum. Never start a process if you're not willing to finish it. Always be yourself. In my case, I don't. I tend to undersell myself when I go into interviews, and I'm just being brutally honest and I say, look, I don't necessarily know this. I'm happy to learn, but that shows that my vulnerability and that I'm not afraid of being myself, and this is really important. So here are some of the TED Talks. I will be sharing this presentation, so you will have access to these links. But these are some of the TED Talks that I would recommend that really changed my perception in a way. But yeah, after this really fast, crazy ride, I would love to see if we have any questions. I'm sorry, I was not following the chat at all, but now I can. So.
Yes, we have a bunch of questions, Dov, like a bunch.
Shoot.
So, yes, one of the questions, how do you find companies when you're unfamiliar with the field or what you are looking for? As a person looking for a midlife career change, I feel like I don't even know what I'm looking for, and the jargon makes it harder to know what I'm looking at.
Well, I would say that you need to find someone who already is in that industry, and you because for you yourself, either you need to do a really good research, or you need to find someone who's already there and just ask for their advice. Ask what you need to do. What are the communities that you could belong to? What are the maybe courses that you need to look into that would help you open those doors?
Awesome. Very awesome. Is it still true that recruiters prefer people who are currently working over people who are currently unemployed?
I think it's a myth. I remember I was working for several companies for whom it was important. Some of the clients that I worked with as well, they would never hire anyone who is unemployed right now. However, there was a different trend that I've noticed about a few years ago, that now companies are more and more open on hiring people who, for example, went on 1 year sabbatical. They traveled around the world. They volunteered somewhere. They did something different. And one thing that I didn't really focus on, but don't be afraid of bringing your full kind of personality to your company, and as well your LinkedIn should reflect your personality as well. For example, for me, this is music, and if you look into my LinkedIn, you would see music-related content there as well, like at least on my profile. Don't hide that because you don't want to sterilize yourself as like, hey, I only do this on LinkedIn, but this is who I am in real life. Bring your whole self.
Very awesome. We are unfortunately running very low on time here. And so what I may do, Dov, is take some of these other questions that we have, and I will copy and paste them into, I don't know, maybe Discord for you. And then that way you can follow up with folks and answer any of the unanswered questions.
Sure. And if there's any table that I can join in the lounge, I would be happy to continue the conversation if someone wants to ask those questions. So do you have any space for Q&As or?
There should be. And if not, we'll just hang out at a table and just rock it.
Okay, awesome. So I'm heading into the lounge, and if anyone wants to join me, just let's continue the conversation there.
Sounds awesome, Dov. Really great job. Thank you. I sent you a few of the questions in Discord. Awesome. Feel free to grab them there. And thank you again.
Thank you for those who joined the session. I hope it was useful.
Yes. Oh, I'm sure it was, man. The feed was blowing up. And awesome. coming up next. So thank you. We're gonna end this one and come back in a minute.